All right, this is Jeff again here at 7007 Southwest 11th Drive here in Portland. Checking the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's running, and we zeroed out at the foot counter. Or I'm sorry, at the base to clean out. So the pipe we're in currently here appears, at first glance anyway, appears to be Orangeburg. It's very deformed. Pipe's been compressed. You've got a lot of oval-shaped pipe joints. Oop, this looks like where your blockages were happening. Line's loaded up right here. Anyway, that deformation is very indicative of Orangeburg, which is it's tar paper sewer pipe. Made of layers of cardboard with tar in between. You can imagine how that holds up over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, making a hard dive here now. We're just swapping over to 6-inch concrete. Dive, dive. Straight down. Usually when you get a dive like this, we're either going down the back hillside or we're diving down real fast here to hook up to the main. We're going to let the line drain out here for a moment. My camera is reaching a spot here, hitting a bit of resistance. I want to try and get a view of it before I go plowing the camera through it. In the event we've got something like an offset. My guess is it's probably root intrusion related, but we'll see here. All right, the line is now drained out here, so I can't get directly on top of the camera right now, but I'm picking the signal up basically right behind the pond feature in the backyard. It feels, based on the locate, it feels like we've gone beyond the fence line. And I believe after the fence, it does drop off right here.
Yeah.
Now that would account for that hard dive we just went through. So line's going off the hillside behind us here. And typically what these lines are going to do in Southwest Portland like this, the line's either going to go all the way down the hill. Oh, there's a few options actually. Either down the hill to the street behind us and hit the main there. There could be a main lateral running along the fence line. The other possibility, it's the least favorable of all of them, is, you know, on some of these hillsides, they do sometimes party the houses together because they were really awkward back in the olden days. They would allow for multiple homes to be daisy chained together so they didn't have to run multiple giant sewer lines down a hillside. Yeah, so my camera is just stopping cold there at about 58 feet. It's hard to say what it is. It's enough resistance. It could easily be a large root intrusion. There's a lot of possibilities, though. There could be an offset pipe joint that's caused a bunch of debris to build up in the line. I might be running into something like that. It doesn't feel like I'm running into just pure concrete, like I'm hitting an offset joint. It feels a little spongier than that. There's a little bit of give to it, but it ends up stopping me completely. So what you might want to start with here, you know, you could try drain cleaning it, trying to run a jetter through the line, auger or jetter. To try and clear that out so you can get a camera to go through it to see what the remainder of the line looks like. It would also be worthwhile trying to pull records to see the diagram of the sewer line. If we see that the line is terminating, you know, on a little diagram right around where we currently are, it would not surprise me one bit if we were very close to the main lateral connection. This is a common setup in Southwest. A lot of these homes up here have main laterals that run along the fence line.
So the city of Portland has records for sewer stuff.
So just inside the concrete pipe here, if you look at the top of the pipe, there's kind of a triangle shape there. That appears, I don't get a great view of it, but that is not indicative of the shape of a pipe joint. Pipe joint's going to be a straight line or a kind of a circular looking shape. That looks like a fracture or a crack in the pipe. And then obviously down at the bottom of the hill, or the bottom of that drop there, you've got something severe going on that's basically causing a near 100% blockage. Water is percolating through the spaces between things, but solids I don't think are getting through there terribly easy unless they're disintegrating and getting through there under probably pure head pressure alone. All right, so currently the line is moving. This is as you face the front of the house from the street. We're moving from left to right. The line pops out of the house around the mid-span across the back of the home, hangs a turn, and it heads underneath the pond. Based on the locates I'm getting here, which are not super great, but it looks like the line goes through the fence line probably about 4 or 5 feet in from the rear right corner. I could be off a little bit there. It's a very hard spot to locate. The pipe right now is underneath a pond, and then once you're past that, the line just dropping off basically a sheer cliffside, it looks like. Anyway, a lot of buildup right here. This is clearly a location where blockages have occurred. I can't see the underlying culprit other than the pipe here is just it's out around, it's deformed. You could very well have something like a root intrusion or something underneath there. It might also be just a massive wad of improper junk like wipes or paper towels. So it is worth potentially cleaning this thing out to see what you're working with, mostly so you know what kind of repair options you can look into. Just turn the water back on here to help clean the lens up. Come on, water. There we go. And whatever that big hunk of junk is right there has been sitting there a long time.
Yeah.
It is compacted conglomerate that's made of all kinds of junk. But yeah, in fact, when this thing finishes draining out, I'm going to show you something in the flow line that tells me this looks like it's Orangeburg. You will sometimes get these striations in the material, these little lines. I'm not sure why, but it's also something that's indicative of Orangeburg pipe. And even if the stuff is still, every now and then I'll catch it, like right here, this is actually pretty nice looking for Orangeburg. Usually when I find this stuff, it's crushed like that. 90% of the time, you can barely get a camera through it. Because of its extreme high rate of failure, it's a pipe product that was banned in like I forget, it was like late 50s, early 60s.
So right as this was built then.
Yeah. And there was, I think it was the ban on production of it. My guess is there was probably overstock around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was still used, because I'll find it on some random years sometimes. This is a very unusual part of town to see it.
Well, I know that...
See those lines right there?
Like all these houses, like in the couple blocks around here, are all built by the same builder.
Yeah.
So, I'm knowing they put one on one, I'm not shocked they put it on more than one.
There's a pretty good likelihood it was done on all of them. And I'm not 100% positive this is Orangeburg. It's a lot rounder than Orangeburg typically is. Every now and then this stuff can give me a run for my money in discerning what it is. Like, that is much more indicative of what Orangeburg does as it compresses.
Yeah.
ABS pipe can do that too. It's a more brittle product, and I mean, it can compress if it happens slowly, but you often will develop splits. Yep. So this is a hard one. It could very well be ABS. I mean, it's one of those lines that if you're going to start messing with it, I would just be doing the full mill deal on it. But this rough and bumpiness to it is not indicative of ABS. ABS is smooth. It doesn't have that odd texture to it. But you almost always have, yeah, that joint is really crushed down. I'm surprised we don't have more blisters. Usually these huge bubbles that form, and that's what makes it bonehead obvious. It's Orangeburg, generally. Okay, so that's where the cast iron. So you got a pretty good belly right here. What does that pipe end look like? It's hard to see that. Anyway, I'm right now on this one. All right, so I just put a marking down right here. I had to push through the turn, pull back here a little bit to get the camera head straightened out, and also to try and get it outside that where I'm sitting 50-50 between cast and the next pipe material. I just will get a weird locate. So I pushed out just past that. Right where I just did that locate is right as the line pops out from underneath the little walkway. You've got a severe belly here. The line there at its worst point, it looks like it's holding at least 2 inches, probably closer to 3 inches of standing water. Now, whether this stuff is Orangeburg that's held up relatively well or ABS, either way, it's very compressed down. And I'm very much leaning towards it being Orangeburg. ABS pipe is very strong, and it's nearly impossible for it to get compressed like this under just 1 foot, 10 inches of earth. Orangeburg, however, will get crushed down under 6 inches of earth. All right, so right now we're pulled back from the edge of the pond, like 4 feet or so, 5 feet. I'm getting around 4 foot 8 inches deep. The line's going directly under this large tree adjacent to the pond. Anyway, the line certainly needs updating. As it sits right now, I would recommend a complete update. Just seeing how the line looks out to around 53 feet. It's highly unlikely things are going to look different after that point. It's a very old line. There's a lot of foliage, trees, and whatnot on the hillside. It's not surprising that it's in the condition it is, honestly. Fortunately, we just can't get where we need to go. First and foremost, I would get a hold of the city, see if they can tell you where responsibility starts and stops on this one, and then kind of go from there. If it turns out that you've got, potentially, you could have another 50 feet of pipe to go for all we know. That's a scenario where you'd want to try and figure some things out before doing repairs. I would try and jet the line out to open it up to allow a camera to go through, see what you're working with, and then kind of pick and choose what type of repair process to do from there. Being that you've got this standing water the way you do here, I would recommend everything from this turn and the cast iron be dealt with. All right, I think my foot counter, either I didn't zero it or something goofed up as I may have glitched it out somehow, but that's not actually 14 feet out there. We're more like 6 feet, something like that. Let me zero back out here really quick. Like, it's so shallow right here, I can hear the camera rattling underground. It starts out very shallow. So yeah, about 4 feet, from about 4 feet to the end of homeowner responsibility, I would recommend a full update to the sewer line. Cast iron here, I'll take another look at as I come back in, but the cast iron from this point back in looks like it is in quite good condition. There's no scale buildup, no channeling in the flow line. That's some pretty healthy looking cast iron right there. After any repairs are done, I highly recommend you rescope the sewer line to check the work. Ideally, you have someone like me, independent, doing it, not the repair company themselves. The big thing is, though, if they do that, if it's a trench, open trench style repair, make sure the rescope is being performed for your purposes after the trench is closed. You're not going to catch any settling problems related to bad compaction until there's weight on top of the sewer line. Now, whether you do it trenchless or whatnot, you still want to rescope it, but that's the big thing with trenching is you got to do it when there's weight on the line.